Morning, good morning. What's up, folks? How is everybody doing this morning? Let me get to the bottom of the chat. Looks like there's something going on here Friday. Somebody was running a show in here. What's up, Carter? What's up, CD? What's up, Fiberwoods? What's up, Fiberwood, Schamberger? What's up, Mike? Sky, Strife, good to see you as always. iClean, Hawk's Eye, what's up? Let me get my screen sharing going for you guys, actually, so before I start digging into anything. Good. All right, looks like my screen is up and running. So let's kind of just talk about where things are at, what's happened since our last. What's up, Navy Plum? Good morning to you, buddy. Oh, crap. You know what? Give me 1 second. I forgot to do any kind of announcements this morning. Shows out real fast. Stream is up. Come join us. And these guys, too. All right, so let's go back to the live stream. There we go. All right, CD looking for a trade plan on Visa already. Cool, we can do that for sure. What's up, Andy? Good morning to you. Good morning to everybody else who's joined since I did my original round of good mornings. I appreciate y'all being here. Let me get a little bit of coffee in my system. All right. So, what are we looking for here on the markets? We're taking a look at ES right now, which is the S&P futures, heavily, essentially, I kind of consider the S&P to be driven by ES, essentially. So SPY, SPX, all that gets driven by ES. Yeah, that coin plan worked out well. We're going to talk about that one from the Sunday member selected tickers. So it's been a while since I've circled back to ES because I've been a little bit more focused on SPY, but definitely looks like we have built a new support up in here that I don't have yet. And the other thing I want to do is I want to take a look at probably adding some more fib extensions. Also want to revisit this trend line that I was kind of looking at hypothetically. I think it holds up on the 4-hour, yeah. So I wasn't totally convinced. However, I think this potential trend line also hasn't really confirmed, but I am looking at something that's maybe a little bit more like this now. Let's see. Again, mostly overall trending to the upside. Yeah, I feel like that's a little steep. Whoops. We might see something off that, we might not, but that looks to probably be the better trend and definitely has some much better confirmation on it than what I was kind of eyeballing as potential trends. Also noticing, aside from Robinhood, what platform can I use to instantly deposit and use money for option trading? Oh, that's a good question. Does Robinhood even allow you to do that? Probably on a margin account. I would think that anybody that's I think as long as it's a margin account, I would think your access your deposits would essentially be instant, right? But that being said, if you're trading with less than 25K in your account, really I'd say less than 30K in your account, because you got to have some wiggle room. I'd highly recommend getting a cash account. The deposits aren't going to be instantaneous, but at least then you're not having to worry about PDT limitations, so day trade restrictions or anything like that. But I was surprised that Robinhood allows you to do a deposit that's instantly available as buying power in a cash account. I mean, more power to them, but yeah, if that's how Robinhood currently works, which I haven't looked at Robinhood in years, then yeah, I don't know of anybody else that would do that. So they may be the only game in town, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that's willing to do those, instant BP deposits. Yeah, well, that's how they get you, right? It's give and take, right? So you either take, the bad fills and potential, forced exits earlier in the day that Robinhood puts on you, but you're gonna have to take those headaches if you want that instant deposit availability in a cash account. It sounds like, because I don't know of anybody else that does that. So, unfortunately, I don't have a good answer for you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, let's take a look at also some fib extensions. Yeah, not a problem, buddy. I wish I had a better answer for you, but I didn't even know Robinhood did that. So, unfortunately, I'm not a ton of help there. But looking at, again, some fib extensions, I really like how this one's setting up right here. It actually catches that top that we hit pretty recently, right at the 5,000 mark, just shy of. So let's add these on the chart so we've got an idea of where we may run into potential resistances. This also pretty close to a confluence, but I'll throw a second level on there. Same thing with this guy up here. So this will give us some things to watch for as SPY and ES and all that makes new highs. You know what? I think I might it's pretty close, actually. I think that's good enough. I take that back. I was getting ready to move this around, but I think it's in pretty decent shape, actually, right where it is. So these would be our fib extensions. Again, really kind of looking for a break over this trend. I think that brings a retest of essentially the 5,000 level on ES. And then over that, we start getting into the 5,000 range, and 50-30 probably somewhere in this neighborhood, 50-63, 50-71. Ultimate, actually, I should have probably left this on. Yeah, your 100% move takes you up to 51.26 based on what we're looking at currently. So, I'd look for that over that. Could be a big breakout if ES can get clear through all of that. So, anyway, just kind of keep things on watch. We've definitely had some turmoil in the markets with the 60 Minutes interview Powell did over the weekend, essentially saying he's only anticipating 3 rate cuts. Well, maybe they only cut 3 times, but they're large cuts. I think that there's a lot of ways for the market to still spin that and keep that as a positive, knowing that again we're pretty much confirmed that we're done with rate hikes, and we should start seeing some cuts here. Probably, again, I would imagine very close to midway to the second half of the year would be my expectation personally. So we'll see how all that plays out for us. So let's get to some trade plan recaps, and then I'll try to shift back over to the chat and answer some questions and stuff like that I see coming through, or some, I guess, people want my input on some things. So Amazon, so far this one has been a no trade. However, I am starting to really look for this one to make a bullish move, especially if 168.33 does continue to hold. This was our put entry level. It was essentially our low of the day, or very close to low of the day. It was key support for the day, held for for a long stretch where we just continued to test and test and test buyers in that area. We did get one print down there a little bit below, so not quite the low of the day, but clearly the key support on the day. So that held up really throughout the day. We consolidated after a really solid earnings report that they just had. So we finally are getting into that 3 days out kind of scenario, where I think this is consolidated enough and held support well enough that bulls are going to look to try to probably move this one to the upside again, especially breaking out over this trend line here pre-market. That looks very positive. So keep an eye on Amazon for upside and momentum today. Certainly, I would say over, really, I'd like to see it over 172.02. And then I think you really start to open up some good upside opportunities from there. But plan confirmation, 174.25. If you do use 172.02 as an entry, I would certainly switch this from being an entry, clearly, because you're already in, to being your first price target. So anyway, Amazon so far, though, as far as sticking to the plan, to the letter, no action, no entry yet. AMD, same thing, kind of in our consolidation range here. So we'll see. Why is that turned on? So we'll see what happens with this one. Seems to be kind of trending to the downside, especially with the 200 crossing below the 333. Looks like it came very close to testing our put entry of support yesterday. Looks like if we break this pre-market low, which kind of lines up with a near a double bottom from yesterday's low, if that doesn't hold, should at least see a test of this and then potentially a breakdown and push lower for AMD. But again, AMD, like a lot of the semi tickers, has had a very big run, so probably needs to cool off at least a little bit before it can leg up again. And then coin was the last one we did from the ticker member selected ticker voting over the weekend. Why did this get slapped on all my charts? I was making some updates to the defaults for that indicator, and it's like popped it onto every chart I've got for some reason. Coin, fantastic setup and trade plan. Thanks for those who voted for this one. It played out beautifully, broke down below, started PT2 and has continued to consolidate down in that range. Seems to be back testing it now as resistance here. So could see this complete the final leg down to 112.05 support. However, Bitcoin looking fairly bullish, but coin itself has not necessarily been directly following Bitcoin all that much anyway. So they've kind of got some their own little issues and scenarios that they're having to deal with. All right, so I saw a couple of instant power for stock purchase on options. Also, I'd like to hear your general opinion on trading those parabolic tickers that have become so popular, like SMCI. For me, those parabolic tickers, I just don't trade them. That's my personal take on it, because really, if you think about it, and the reason why I don't trade them, is there money to be made there? Yeah, sure. Is it certainly a riskier play? Yes, 100%. But the big issue that I have with those tickers is kind of similar to like Tesla, for example, because they have become so volatile. The implied volatility starts to increase dramatically on the contract price. So essentially, it's kind of like inflation for options contracts, right? When you have something that is moving a lot, whether it be up or down, the IV goes through the roof. And essentially what that does is it takes a contract that you would normally pay one price for and makes it 20, 30, 40% more expensive. So essentially it's kind of like you're going out and buying everything while it's marked up instead of buying stuff while it's on sale. And me personally, it's just doesn't matter how much money I've got in my account. Like I always want a deal, right? Or I don't ever want to feel like I'm overpaying for something. And so I start to just psychologically get into the mindset that essentially I'm overpaying to trade options if I'm getting into some of these, high volatility tickers like SMCI, NVIDIA, all those. I would rather, find tickers that are moving and I can load up on a greater quantity of contracts for the same amount of money I would put into an SMCI or something. Could also buy more time, all that sort of stuff. So, that's just my personal take on it. There are plenty of people who, trade the hell out of those things and make great money doing it. It's just not my approach. So that's my input on it, but to each their own. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with trading them. So, hit a break a symmetrical triangle daily, but now consolidation. 10 a.m. candle prints above. We may have a move up. It's a little bit hard to see. So one thing I'd recommend for you, if you ever want to share charts and stuff like that from TradingView Dodds, and I'm sure you can see my screen, use this little camera icon up here in the top right hand corner. Copy image. Drop those in the chat. That'll be a lot better than a picture of your laptop screen. So trying to look at that though, the thing that I'd be a little bit concerned with, and again, trend lines are extremely subjective. You've got a lot of wick activity way outside of your trend lines. And your trend lines on that ascending triangle that you're trying to draw there doesn't even start from a clean wick touch. It kind of starts halfway into that wick. So yeah, I'd you know, when you're drawing your trend lines, I'd focus on those touches being as clean as possible. Is it okay to have something print below, you know, here and there? Yeah, but me personally, I want cleanliness. I want those touches of the trend lines to see reactions because that's what I'm going to make money off of, right? Is a clean reaction off that trend line versus trying to guess how far over or below that trend line are we going to shoot with a wick. Well, as long as the candle closes back above, great, but does that really help you hone and time your entries a little bit better? You know, I'd say probably not. So that's just my 2 cents. Shoes broke below. Yeah, I mean, again, based on how you've got that charted, sure. But again, I'm looking at it from a slightly different perspective. Again, if you're looking at it from an ES perspective, what I think looks, you know, pretty clean, has lots of good touches and catches the trend. I mean, I think we really kind of start off this weekly base in this demand zone, come up, you get a bunch of touches and action, kind of really draws that trend line for you almost perfectly here in this little stretch. Um, so, I mean, yeah, could we see a pullback from here? Absolutely, but I would expect it to hold probably somewhere around this 49.33 level, this prior resistance. Haven't really seen it test as support cleanly yet, but we're starting to see some of that. So probably somewhere in this range would hold near that trend line and I think slip us out from this descending trend. That's just my take on it. So, you know, a lot of it can be bias driven, so you have to be a little bit careful about that. One thing I am also noticing though, that would be interesting to see. Not quite. I want to say it almost looks like we've got a, well, almost does look like we might have a channel forming here actually. I'll mess with that later. I want to work on some trade plans here, but I think it kind of looks like we might have some sort of a channel forming to the upside as well. So anyway, just keep an eye on it. Like I said, trend line's very subjective. But all right, so we did our trade plan recaps. We talked about the markets in general, answered a bunch of questions. Let's get into some of these ticker requests. I know I've got Visa sitting on the board for CD. Haven't looked at Visa in quite a while. Let's hide our indicators for a second. Gosh, I feel like I've charted Visa before at some point in my life. Surprised I don't see any support and resistance levels on here at all. Oh, I did. It was just a long time ago. And totally irrelevant, in a totally irrelevant range that we'll probably not see again for a long time. So, all right, well, let's build up some price levels. Let's see. Man, Visa's been on a parabolic move here. Kind of goes back to, I think, what you were asking a minute ago, CD. Although I don't know if Visa's volatility has picked up so much that it has influenced the contract pricing all that much, but it's a pretty strong run that it's on. I think there's probably something there, but not sure what that is yet. Same thing here. And yeah, we're not going to have any price action back there. This is probably as low as we're going to wind up planning for. So, all right, let's take a look at this. Start cutting up these time frames. I had a feeling that would be a daily level. Surprised this isn't panning out. It's a daily level. Let's see. Did we get some touches back here? Yeah, but nothing really convincing, or really nothing at all. On the support side of things, looking at this level slightly wrong. That makes me wonder. Is it sitting more like there? I think it is. And this guy, yep, it's another daily level. About what I was expecting to see. All right, so what else do we have here in this range? because I think really this is where all the price data that we're going to have to use is going to be right here. I convinced myself and then I talked myself out of it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't love that actually. I do like this though. That is interesting. This is another interesting level. Not quite clean enough, I think, for it to be a daily level. And we do have this touch up here. I'd be curious to see if that's... We'll take a look at that on the 4-hour chart. Do I have anything over 248.73? Got this rejection back here. Whether or not that means anything is another question. That's probably it for any price data that we're gonna see up in that range. So my question was, did that rejection result in anything? It did actually. Turned it into support on the daily. Okay. It's just enough there, I think, to call that a daily level. Yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. All right, so let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. Let's figure out where we want to mark this high off. So I'm going to take a look at this on the hourly just real quick. Yeah, that was pre-market. So I think really the kind of the key level, sort of the feeling on Visa right now is sitting right here at 278.31, I'd say. Yeah, there's a 4-hour level. Pretty quick, but it's there. Or is it just a little bit lower? Is it right here? Yeah, I think it is. Actually, I think it's right about there. Something there. Yeah, this is all we have to work with right in this area. This is interesting, but not confirmed yet. That looks good. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything clearly there, so I'm not going to force it. It's another interesting level, but probably something that's going to clean up on the hourly, I would bet. Yeah, say for both those levels. All right. Yeah, I think there is something sitting right about there. There's potentially something here, but I don't know. It's a little bit too, I don't know the right word. I'm not convinced, I guess is the right way to say that. Do you think we have something, or is it more like right here? Yeah, I think right about here. Early level there. And I don't think we're going to need anything down this low. I think we're probably about ready to plan this sucker out. So let's take a look at this real quick. Maybe losing some trend momentum. Let's see how this lines up. Yeah, I never really confirmed it, playing it off that, but that looks pretty well confirmed, and we're slipping below, so that's certainly something to pay some attention to. Potential trend line overhead here, not confirmed yet, so that's TBD. All right, let's see what the indicators say. Oh, actually, one more thing before I throw those on. We are going to need some fib extensions. Really, it's more like up to here. Yep, let's see, right about there. So, interesting little potential extension right below where we tapped out on that high. That was an outside of market hours print, though, on that high. So, I just wonder if whoops, didn't need to drop 2 levels there. I think what we're looking at. All right, so how do we want to set this up? Let's take a look at these real quick. All right, I'm going to take a shot at this. It's a little bit iffy. I think we could take a shot at the 50% if we break over this sort of actual resistance level here at 278.31. Over that, definitely the 0.618 and the 0.786. Let's not get greedy. Stop loss average down I'd have here at 275.25. Still in the buying pressure there on Neptune. To the downside, gotta get below all this confluence of support. Visa is really going to continue down. I'd want to see it stay below 273 if it's going to continue down. Because this is the first target, I'd say right about here at 267.07. Next target, and we could shoot for 266.23, but kind of, I could make a case for either of those, and the 333 SMA here on the hourly is coming up above that 266.23 level, so I think it could help add confluence to this level before we get to here and potentially bounce us. So that's why I'm picking the closer of those two levels. Below that, 264.19. Below that, where we bounced off of, started this trend down here at 261.50. So these would be the Visa trade plans. Again, I'd say start small and feel free to average up. Playing this to the upside, but I would definitely start small. Just because, again, we are running a set of fib extensions for price targets, which means we're taking a really well-educated guess at where the price action is going to find resistance. But that's the best we can do when things are at all-time highs. So this is your Visa trade plan. I'll talk through it one more time. So to play this to the upside, we're looking for a break over 278.31 with targets at 281.46, 283.56, and 286.45 with a stop loss average down at 275.25. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 270.74. That should give us targets at 267.07, 264.19, and 261.50 with a stop loss average down at 273 flat. That is your Visa trade plan, or plans, plural. So, yeah, Dodds, you can ask as many questions as you want, buddy. That's what we're here for. It's no problem at all. But if you ever have any questions or want to pick my brain offline, or hell, if you want to get together and do some one-on-one mentoring, reach out, let me know. We'll get you set up. All right, so let's see. We had Visa. Yeah, to deposit. So I'm thinking what Milan was asking or was mentioning with RH was Robin Hood in regards to that conversation. He's not asking for restoration hardware trade plan. PLTR. Can we skip PLTR? I only say that because they just reported yesterday. And generally speaking, 3-day rule, you don't want to jump into something right after it's reported earnings and made a huge move in a particular direction. So it's, clearly testing this 2014 4-hour resistance I've got on the chart here at the moment. Over that could continue. I would definitely keep my stop around this 1944 level, but yeah, I wouldn't touch it for a few days. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Only because, again, earnings report was yesterday. So let's go to the next one, SMH, which was also, or no, sorry, that was from this is the Van Eck semiconductor ETF, probably at some all-time high-ish levels. Yep, for sure. Man, you guys, although this is just the market right now, though, everything's at new all-time highs, so we've got to chart, be clever about our charting, I guess what I'm trying to say. All right, so not one I've ever really charted before, right? Yeah, I didn't think so. I am familiar with it, though. It's an interesting bounce right there for it to not be catching. I mean, there's a little bit. It's, yeah. It's not super clean, but there is a rejection that kind of happens near this level. So that's of interest. Let's see. Yeah, this has got some weird price action on it for sure. All right, though, I like a challenge. All right, let's see. There's gotta be a weekly level right around here. Just looks a lot, it makes more sense right here. All of this is just bizarre to me. This like flat top right here. I'll take a look at this on the daily level. Could have like a little sort of two key levels side by side right there potentially that we would just wait to trade once the price action gets to the other side of both levels kind of scenario. So we'll see. We'll have to take a look at some more time frames on that one. It's definitely weird. Same thing with this, like it's right at a spot where it looks like it should be. It's really clean. That's actually pretty decent. It's not as bad as I thought it was, as far as there being sort of just messy price action through that range. Yeah, we got a little done here. This is probably going to be our... We may not even chart anything that low. Or plan for anything that low, I mean. Yeah, and we're not going to find anything on the weekly chart with the limited price action that we have up in this range. Interesting little flip of support and resistance there. It's also, yeah, there's something there for sure on the daily chart. Let's also figure out what this little blue level is. Is it a daily level is the question? Yes, it is. That's what I thought it was going to be. All right. This is interesting, but not enough to confirm it on the daily. Same thing with this level. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one to actually trade, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that I really am super convinced by through any of that. So, let's start digging in to some of these other levels. Here we go on this one. I think. Well, this isn't really as close as I thought it was. Probably, yeah, I'd set it somewhere like that just because it's the best we can do, kind of with, again, very limited price action. Could be something there. Yeah, like that level. Could possibly be something there too. This just straight flew through all that though. Let's see, at least on the 4 hour it did. Okay, there we go. A little hourly level in the mix for us. Be helpful. Yeah, there's definitely a sitting right there. Is this turned into anything? Yeah, this is very noisy up in that range. So we're going to have some fib work to do here in just a sec. Could be something right in that little spot. Take one last look in this range. There's got to be. I think that actually does hold up decently well, given the limited amount of price data we have. All right, so let's take a look at this. This definitely looks like a bit of a channel. Let's see. If it is, it's sitting probably somewhere. Yeah, I mean, that's a bunch of really clean touches. I'm just surprised we're not quite getting to it back here. But this, I think's enough to go off of. So yeah, I think we are in a little bit of a channel, but it's tight and it's steep, so that could break down. But we'll see. All right. Last but not least, fib extensions. Let's see where those are going to take us. Really, I'd be looking at it up to here. Potentially back down to here. Well, yeah. do see a little bit of it's very tricky little support resistance moves in here along that 0.382. All right, so the question becomes, where are we really going to want to look for an entry on this? Again, this is a little bit of a challenge here, but I'll redraw this. Actually, I don't love where this is sitting. It just looks off to me. Let's do this. Curious to see how this will stack it up. So that's our 100. Yeah, there could be a level right here that I didn't have, right about this 61.8, 0.618, however you want to call it. So, whoops, wrong tool. Might look something a little bit more like this. Yep, that makes more sense to me. So, what we'd be looking for is a break of 197.80, and really the only thing we have to work off of are these fib extensions. Interesting. 618 up here too. So yeah, I'd be looking for, well, let's turn these on too. Now that I've got that out of the way. All right, so the way I'd plan this would be for a break over that pre-market high, and I would use this prior rejection level there now. Again, it's just we're having to work off of really minimal price action here, but I would not want to see things back below. This is kind of a warning that this is not a 100% confirmed level. I wouldn't want to see it break back below, yeah, 196 if we're playing over 197.80. That should, because it could pull back a lot more below that, I think. Would give us these as our 3 targets. To the downside, where does that even start to become any interest? Well, we would lose the trend and, well, a couple factors, both on my trend ribbon and on the channel trend below this 193.60 level. So that becomes interesting to me as a potential put entry. Yeah, I'd have my stop loss up here at 195. First target. Get this out of the way real quick. Yeah, I do like this as a first target to the downside there at 191.84. There is a level here that I am just now seeing. This would be the next price target, 190.59. And below that, sorry, let me hide these real quick. I just want to see where those candles are. Yeah. Okay, well. Nah, yeah, there's another level right about here. I also didn't have yet. That's where I would shoot for, third price target. So this is what our trade plans look like. Man, lots of fib extensions today. Although, again, it's just kind of is what it is with markets at all-time highs. But you have to have something to shoot for, right? Gotta have some kind of target. Alright, so these are what, this is what the SMH trade plans look like. Alright, so what we're looking for here on SMH is a break over 197.80. That should bring us targets at 199.69, 201.19, and 202.74 fib extensions over that, with a stop loss average down there at 195.99. Again, be a little bit careful about chasing this breakout. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 193.60 with targets at 191.84, 190.59, and 188.44 with a stop loss average down at 195 flat. So that is your SMH trade plan. And with that, we are about 15, well, a little less than 15 minutes out from market open. And as Chris has correctly identified, I do have to go get to work on the daily SPY plan for you guys, which will be in the watch list here within the next 15 minutes, I hope. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. We will be back Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that, as we always say here on the FOMO live stream, oh yeah, don't forget to go fill out the monthly surveys. That's in the announcements channel. If you haven't done it already, please take a moment to do that today. I think that survey will be closing soon. It's a big part of how we gauge our performance here at Xtrades. But yep, CD beat me to the punch. As we always say here, plan your trades, trade your plans. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. I will see you in